Hi, and thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Jacqueline.
And I'm your host, Nicole. You're listening to the second season of Perfictionist. Before we jump into what is in store for season 2, there's a little unfinished business from season 1 that we need to address. A mass of elephant in the room, one might say. This January, the Queen herself, Sarah J. Maas, released her suggested reading order for the Throne of Glass series. And I, for one, was a bit shocked.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, what? Oh, I thought the Purist Order was her suggested reading order, but no. And it's also not the same as the Romantic Order either,
Yet that's
which
a
I find
surprising
super
thing.
interesting.
We were all completely
Yeah.
wrong. We were debating the wrong debate. I actually like the way she suggested it. I was never on
Mhm.
board with the Romantic Order. For me, that personally didn't make sense to put Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire. But that's not, as we said, that's not what she suggests. And her suggestion, I do think, makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense too, and I look forward during my reread to read it in her suggested order and to experience that. I'm really curious. So, her suggested order, instead of starting with the Assassin's Blade, which was our recommendation in season 1, um, I'll just go through the order she suggested it in. So it's Throne of Glass first, then Crown of Midnight. The Assassin's Blade is third, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and then Kingdom of Ash.
Mm-hmm. And Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight kind of have a very similar feel, but they're also kind of very different from the rest of the books in a way. So I think that's why
Mm-hmm.
this order makes sense, because
Yeah.
you're not reading it in chronological order of events, but you're getting this sort of like those two books, the first two books, Crown of Midnight and the Throne of Glass, they kind of are their own little bubble in a way. They take place in the same
Mm-hmm.
setting and they kind of encompass just like one aspect of the story, but like in a bit of a bubble. So I I like this suggestion, and I do think that this could lead to a big impact when you then read Assassin's Blade, because everything's still fresh. You're getting information kind of when you need
Yes.
information, but you're still a little surprised at some of the things that you learn about. If you read it in that order, it leads to a bit of shock, I guess you could say.
Exactly. I agree completely. I feel that the sort of bone I had to pick with the Romantic Order was that you were so far along already that all of those little nuances back in Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight would be kind of lost on you.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a lot of really passionate fans who would totally argue that, and that's completely valid. And like whatever reading experience you want to have is completely up to you. But I just agree. Like if you don't want to read Assassin's Blade first, or if you're on that Romantic Order train or whatever, that
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to know what the Romantic Order enthusiasts think about this order instead.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be interesting. People who've been kind of like pushing for the Romantic Order, or that being their number one suggestion, if they agree, kind of, because we were very much like purist. Well, what we thought was the purist order, and
Yeah.
I guess you can call it the chronological order.
Yeah.
But I'm very open to this being a better reading experience. Unfortunately, you can only have a first
Yeah.
experience once, and we've already had ours.
I
So
know.
we'll never know
I
if this
know.
was better.
I guess like what was previously considered the purist order is actually really, like you said, chronological order. It's not necessarily purist now that she's dropped this opinion, because in a way, like if the author, the creator of this universe has suggested this is the reading order, then that would then have to take that title, I feel, as purist.
Yeah. And my understanding was it was the purest order, the original purest order, was because that is order of publication. But apparently that's not true, because the order that Sarah suggests is order of publication, because Assassin's Blade and Heir of Midnight
Yes.
both came out the same year, but I guess
Yes.
maybe people didn't realize that technically Assassin's Blade came out first.
There is an infographic you can find online that shows publication order, like as kind of pictures. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Assassin's Blade isn't at the beginning, but I kind of thought to myself, oh, I thought that because of the way that they send out the box set with Assassin's Blade at the front, that it was kind of something she had written and thought, oh, you know what? I this should totally be the prequel, because that's kind of how I look at Assassin's Blade, is like the prequel to the series, right?
Yeah. And if you look on Goodreads, it's listed as 0.05, which would suggest a prequel and to be read at the very
Okay.
beginning. Maybe they will
Right.
change that, and maybe they will now call it 2.5 instead. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like the Star Wars debate, right?
No, exactly.
You know,
And
like,
we won't even get
yeah,
into
anyway, we could go on. Yeah.
We don't want to open that can of worms.
Yeah, exactly.
On to season 2 and what we can be expecting, or what viewers can be expecting for season 2.
What we're going to kind of do this season is we like to do a series each season. So this, it's an announcement, actually.
Announcement time.
Yeah. So this season, we have chosen The Arcana Chronicles by Cressley Cole. That is where we are going to focus on this series. We're going to dive deep into the world and like really, I want to say pick it apart, but that sounds kind of negative. We're just going to like focus on all the details and kind of try to get into the lore of it and just, yeah. Anyway, so that's like our plan for season 2. There's 6 primary works within that season and 1 novella that falls into the series at kind of the midway point.
Mm-hmm. And we'll start off by covering the actual books. So like we'll cover all 7 books in turn, having kind of like just a casual discussion about each book and our thoughts on it and sort of the major events that happen. It won't be like our previous episodes where we go through the plot in chronological order. It'll just be more casual discussions. And then after that, we get into the nitty-gritty.
Yes. So after that, we will do episodes specifically on the lore. We'll do character deep dives. We'll talk about romance subplots and so much more.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am very much looking forward to that. I am currently halfway through the 2nd book, so I still have a lot to discover with this series. You've already read it more than once, so you're our resident expert.
I have. Okay. But I have not read the final book because I wanted to save that to experience that alongside you when we like I want to read like the grand finale and share that like shock with you. And I haven't read the novella either.
True. I'm so looking forward to the novella. I kind of did a little finger
Me
flick
too.
through it, and it looks like a diary or something. I don't know. I am so excited for it.
It's going to be really fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm very excited to experience every book, but especially the novella, and then at the end to like kind of see how everything wraps up, because it's a incredibly interesting concept. But we will talk more about kind of our thoughts on that when we get into each of those episodes. And then our next kind of style of episodes that we are going to be doing is we're going to be starting a kind of mini series called Books and Bevies. And it's going to be a very casual discussion on various book topics. Each episode is going to be centered around a theme like romance, controversial book questions or topics, opinions, that sort of thing. Maybe book adaptations, how we feel about that kind of thing. So
I'm very excited about those. We did kind of a test run on one of those Books and Bevies episodes, and it was such good fun. And yeah, it gives us an opportunity to discuss things that we may not be able to discuss during our series. Series?
series. Yeah.
Series. Yeah. what we're going to do this season is we're going to aim for 3 episodes a month, which will be released on the first 3 Wednesdays of the month, and we will be rotating through the different episode styles.
Thank you so much for joining us for our first episode back. We hope you are as excited as we are for season 2. If you have any suggestions on topics you would like to hear us discuss in either of the different series, so if you've read the Arcana Chronicles and have questions about that you would like answered, that you never got answered, or you just want to hear our opinion on a certain event that happens, or just general book topics, please leave your comments in the comment section down below, because we'd love to hear what you guys would like to hear from us.
If you're a lover of romance like us, or are curious about the genre, join us next week when we discuss the romance genre in our first episode of our Books and Bevy series. Thanks again, and we hope to see you next week.